Petty revenge can be so sweet. I'm your host, Tight. Let's see who got a treat. Our first one is from TX Quilter 1. So we had a true Karen at work. Her name really was Karen, and she lived up to it. She took it upon herself to police all of the other employees in a cubicle and office setting. Heaven forbid that someone used the printer without using double-sided print or printing something for personal use. She was called the Printer Nazi. Now, our company also had two buildings, corporate office and production office. The production office is where I worked, and sometimes visitors from the corporate office would use a vacant cubicle and vice versa. Our IT department was normally located at the corporate office to keep them close to upper management. One day, we had IT in our offices using a few of our cubicles while they did some system upgrades. Karen has no clue who these people are, so she takes it upon herself to walk behind them to police their actions. One gentleman happened to be checking the weather, which was allowed, by the way, for employee and company safety. We had major storms coming in that day. Karen saw his screen and decided to stop and scold him on the use of the company intranet for pursuits outside of company business. Now, here's the kicker. Remember I said she didn't know who this gentleman was? He was the head of IT. He never told her who he was and just played it cool. He came and told me what took place during our next break, as he and I were close work friends. I told him she was the office Karen and made everyone miserable with her constant tattling and reprimands. So he decided on the ultimate petty revenge. He checked her surfing history. Now, Karen has her own office, so she was able to do just about anything without getting caught. She had been online shopping nearly every single day, for several hours a day. She even left him that day and went to her office and purchased a blouse, like the hypocrite that she was. I later found out that he turned her in for misuse of company intranet, and they physically walked her out a week later. Had she minded her own business, they never would have checked her history. Bye-bye, Karen. That's like the ultimate petty revenge, because if you're gonna go around and tell people how to use the company internet and then have it used against you, I really don't know what leg or defense one would have to stand on at that point, especially if they were misusing the internet themselves. Beautiful revenge and beautiful karma. This next one is by Big Max. I worked an engineering contract for a while. They were pretty open-ended, like a lot were, with a vague, but not binding, length specified. Kind of like, this contract is expected to be for 12 months, but it is at will of the employer and could end earlier or be extended further. But for those that do that kind of work, usually they stick to the vague timelines, and a lot of well-performing contractors get extended. Anyway, one day our team of 10, all contractors, managed by one full-time employee, let 3 of the contractors go, and they had me do it. Technically, I was running that team, but I was a contractor too, and not in charge of any firing like that. So they were told, "This is your last day," at 4 p.m. Me and another contractor asked our sponsor, "Hey, how come we didn't give those guys any notice?" He said brightly, "That's why we hire contractors, so we can cut them loose at a moment's notice whenever we want to." We didn't love that answer. Also, it was a weird thing to say to 2 other contractors. He basically told us we'd get no notice and be let go instantly someday. Anyway, long story short, that other contractor was a very sharp guy. He started interviewing and got another job. He told me about it, and I didn't tell anyone else. It started in a few weeks. He just kept right on working the contract job, and was right in the middle of a bunch of work that only he understood. At 5 p.m. on his last day, he just stood up, grabbed his laptop, mouse, docking station, walked to our sponsor's desk and set them down. He just said brightly, "Hey, thanks for everything. This is my last day." The guy said, "Wait, you're leaving?" And he just said, "Yes, thanks," and walked out. That was it. He did also hit send on a more official last day email at that same time too. It was really funny. His work was half done. He didn't answer any calls or questions about it, and it took us like a month to figure it all out and get that project back on track. If the sponsor hadn't been so delighted about being able to fire contractors at any second, that guy would definitely have given a nice 2-week notice and worked to have a smooth handoff of his work. Talk about insanity that one would literally brag to actual contractors directly about the joy of firing somebody, like as if that wouldn't come back and bite you in the ass, as it did in this case, with some fantastic petty revenge. And our final one is from Bag FN Zach. Some years ago, I worked at a digital agency who was actually a big player in the national scene. It was me who was responsible for maintenance and availability for some software used by our core clients, and I ran the team who did the same for other clients. Year after year, I got denied raises or got a pay raise that's just laughable. Asked so many times for a partner or sidekick as I was drowning in work, but they didn't feel the need as I was still able to keep it running, while I was simultaneously running myself into the ground. Here comes the 6-month performance review, and yet again, I voiced my concerns about my well-being and financial situation, and yet again I was denied anything. Unbeknownst to them, I was offered a position at a competitor granting me better pay and better workloads. After the performance review, we had an in-person meeting with the second biggest client for contract renewals, and as I was responsible for maintenance, I was also included as to give input on SLA conditions and pricing. During that meeting, I was rereading the offer which my manager saw, mailed the competitor I accepted their offer, got my contract in the mail within 5 minutes, and digitally signed it within 10. Mailed HR, my manager, and some execs my resignation. Fun fact is that all the execs I mailed were also in the meeting. Didn't take long for faces becoming red with anger, and they paused the meeting, got pulled apart and got questioned what the fuck I'm doing, explained my side of the story, and was met with utter disbelief. My manager and HR got chewed out. I got better pay and better working conditions at the competitor. Client renewed their contracts that year, but left the year after because of inadequate maintenance, and the company not being able to meet the 99.999% uptime SLA. Career is popping off. My old employer is downscaling business because of a harsh market. This is a great example of why it's important to treat your employees with respect and as a person, not just somebody viewed as expendable for the next. What a great way to get revenge against a company that didn't seem to truly care about their employees. Alright, that's enough pettiness for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Petty Revenge. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.